it's called. Remember it's Cambridge organizing it, but I always forget what it's called. So it's a pleasure for me to be your host and moderator tonight. My name is François Monti. I don't get to Paris often enough. I'm from Belgium in spite of the accent. And you know, it was a pleasure last year when Yasant and the team invited me over, and I'm very glad that they enjoyed the experience so much and invited me a second time. Loads of cream and butter and wine. This is not why I accept the invitation, of course, it's because I'm very excited to be talking with all those guys. Today we are going to have 3 panels. The thematic is quite loose: education, environment, and human or social. Of course, we'll see that through the development of those talks, a lot of the environment will seep into education, which in turn will has a lot to do with social. I think one of the most exciting thing about a Cambridge Public House, whatever it's called, a people series, is the guests, because one of the things we are used to in this world is a lot of people talk about education, a lot of people talk about sustainability, but actually not a lot of people talk about those things. It's always the same people talking about those things, always the same guests. And I spend a lot of time on the road, traveling around and drinking, not responsibly, unfortunately. And I meet a lot of people, but every year at Cambridge Public House, I look at the program and I'm like, I don't know half of them, or I haven't met them in person. And that's very exciting because it means that this is a curated program. It is obviously made possible by grants, but it is very much curated by the human beings behind the program who are identified people who have interesting stories to tell that we haven't heard enough. So this is the longest I'm going to talk today. After that, I will make it a bit shorter. So yes, without further ado, I'm very, very excited to have a conversation with 12 beautiful human beings with great story to tell, and we're going to start with education. So the 4 of you can come. You know who you are. Yeah. The funny thing is, as I was saying, like it's a very diverse cast of people. Quite a few of them you don't see very often, and of course, the first one I get to introduce is the one that everyone knows. My good friend Benjamin Cavagna from Milan, family group, 1930, Mac Cafe, etc., etc. Big round of applause for Benjamin. Ezra Starr, who I first met years ago at the San Antonio Cocktail Conference, I think, when she was still at Drinks Boston, one of the bars I was most excited to visit and never got to visit, sadly. And then she made the move all across the world to Hong Kong, where she is mostly homeless and quite a few other businesses. Valeria Naranjo from Spain, actually Venezuela, Colombia. Is it? Yeah. Yes, that's it. And I fuck up, and she's the one I know best. She's based in Madrid. And I actually told her, we're talking about education, I was a teacher, I don't think she had great memories of it. It's the first time I walked into a bar after having taught her aromatized wine and vermouth. I walked into a bar with a brand owner, and the first thing she said is, I don't like vermouth. In spite of it, I love Valeria. She's very, very hardworking, and she's got an amazing online persona that I think is really, really interesting. We're going to be discussing in a moment. And then we've got Christophe. That one, we always need someone like a locally sourced ingredient. Of course, I guess most French people in the bar industry know Christophe. He's been, at the forefront of education, competition, association, etc. for a long time. And Christophe is going to be talking about the work doing with the ABF, the French branch of the IBA for people who are not from here, especially in terms of education with the ex-mention bar, which is the bartending a wing of the hospitality school in France, which is quite unique in the world, and some big changes are coming up. But Christophe also works with brand, and it's got quite a 360 degrees view on education in the bar industry. So, as someone who's been doing education for 10 years too, it evolves over the years, and the needs are always very, very different. And there's a lot of rumblings right now about generations and the differences of reaching young people, which is something we're going to get in very, very soon. But first, I wanted to start with Ezra, because we were talking before earlier this morning about your own career, and you're coming. Well, you're not that old. You're actually younger than me. But you're coming from a world where there was no education. You had to find your own way, and this is what you did. So can you just maybe, the microphone is there, you'll have to share it, so it means you can't interrupt each other. I'm the only one who can talk over you. I'll do a lot of that. Yeah? Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Hello everyone, thank you for having me in Paris. I'm really happy to be here. As you said, when I started my career, I've been bartending since I was 17. I am 43, 44-ish, so very young. But when I started this kind of bartending, cocktail bartending, the knowledge was always protected. I was at a bar where if you had information or knew how to do certain kind of cocktails or certain techniques, you didn't really want to share that with anybody. I reached out to those who were supposed to be my mentors and teachers, and very few of them gave me opportunities to learn. At least that's what I thought at the time. And so I think maybe what you're trying to get me to talk about is a few of us. I was living in Boston at the time, and I wanted to understand how cocktails worked. Nobody would teach us, and so a group of my friends and I got together once a week for years actually, and created a little collective. We would share with each other, oh, my bar does this, I'm going to talk about it this week. So for a couple hours every single Monday we would meet, we would share what our bars did respectively, and we were all barbacks when we started. We would also share books. I have a huge online database of my own old cocktail books that we scanned. I'm pretty sure I've read any cocktail book published before 2001. Fairly certain of that in English, Spanish, and French. Italian ones I'm still looking for, so if you have, let me know. But the amazing thing was just getting together and sharing that knowledge and becoming mentors with each other. It's an odd thing when a bunch of barbacks get together and share information. Within a year, we were all the bar managers of our locations. And we discovered that the people that were essentially protecting that knowledge were doing so because they were profiting off of it in a lot of ways. And what we kind of decided to do individually and in our own locations was liberate that knowledge to those who were working side by side with us. So we created a training program at the bars that we were at, found ways to take that same information, and through that, when I eventually became in charge of the bar I was working at, created a 10-year bartending program that became the staple and the stability of the bar itself for about 12 years.
Benjamin, I think we're gonna be jumping here in Milan. When I asked Benjamin earlier today if he had gone to, if he had taken a bartending courses, he laughed. He said, I went to one, right? So, we're going to be talking about official organizations, like IBA. My assumption is that back when you started in Italy, it was seen a bit as conservative, so you learned on the job. But now you're running, how many bars are you running?
7.
7? How many employees?
Too much.
I'll count them on his fingers, so that's it. What did you have to do? I mean, we'll go back to Ezra in a bit because I think it's quite a fascinating program there, that drink. But, how did you address this situation? Do you think that your guys are better trained than you were when you started?
So first of all, good morning to everyone. Thank you to don't sleep too much. And thanks again to my mom, because she paid me the first course of bartending, 150 euros, 40 hours of spirits and cocktails and bubble to really afford. 15 years ago was the basic and standard course. Like she did, I tried by myself and the colleague of the different bars of my career to learn more and more with books. My past helped me a lot. I studied philosophy at university. So imagine one book from François, 150, 160 pages of Varmaid. If you study philosophy, Heidegger, Schopenhauer, and other things, you can read in 2 hours.
My Varmaid book is actually very complex, okay?
So I had the chance to study a lot, and thanks to some mentors, I had the chance also to try literally at the bar and the lab what I studied. Thanks to this, for my past, and thanks to this small career of a student, we started step by step to create a bar program in, first of all, in Marga Cafe, the first bar that we opened. We started to create some small competition between different group of people, and we start to do different tests. The winner goes for 1 weekend out, or the winner has one more day off, which in Italy it's or one time we had the chance to give them spa and physiotherapist treatment. Of course, it was a competition, but it was also an education program. And then, after year and year, after 7 bars, we decided last year, 2 years ago, to found the farming school. Our company is called Varmaid, the family of the farm. And of course, we have a farm where we produce botanicals for cocktails and liquor, but we wanted also to create a real school where every 3 months 6 students come selected by different interviews, started to work in a company. The guys do 2 days of school with Giorgio, the prof. This guy worked a lot in London. He studied a lot with Mr. Tony C. And he came back to Italy to join us this program. So 2 days of school, 1 day off. We were in Italy, not in Paris. And then 4 days of working in a bar of the company. The idea it is mixing theory and practice. The idea it is asked to our brand friends to give us the chance to learn spirits and liquors program for them with seminars and master classes. The idea it is pushing the junior bartender, young bartender, and understand how can we help them to fall in love about this job. Because one of the most important thing is fall in love about this career, because it's a fucking hard job, and you can do so many schools, but you need to speak with these young people. Come on, guys, this is the most incredible job of your life. Let's do it. Let's continue. That's the idea.
I'm jumping back to, thanks Benjamin, I'm jumping back to you Ezra, because you mentioned the program you developed for Drink. So I'd like to tell everyone here how long the whole, like if you wanted to do the whole steps, how long it was and how it worked.
Yeah, so if you came on board at that bar, I've changed the whole system so we'll probably talk about it later. For
Yes,
Hong Kong.
yeah.
But for the US, the program started as a bar back. You did, basically it was the break you stage, very old school in my mind way of thinking about it. You come in, we break your habits, we teach you how to work, we teach you how to move, and knowledge first about what was behind the bar before you ever could speak to a staff. That lasted about 1 to 2 years. After that, you would begin as an apprentice with a bartender. You had to take an exam that kind of just tested your general knowledge in order to have the option to become an apprentice. Once you reach the apprenticeship stage, it took a few years. You may work on a bar with a bartender and maybe have some shifts where you're kind of a little bit in charge, but essentially your job was to learn how to manage the station, how to learn to be in charge, how to really understand. We had no menu, no back bar. Every single drink was made by conversation. We averaged about 1,000 to 2,000 drinks a night, and so you really had to know everything in order to operate in this bar. After that stage, you would take an exam that was designed to discover all of your weaknesses. So it was not possible to pass it. I think nobody ever got higher than 80%. And the intention was, what are your weaknesses? Where can we train you? And then you were instructed to become a teacher in that for the team. We had 3 days every week where you would learn either spirits, hospitality, or wine. Wine was really about culture. Spirits was really about guest interaction, and hospitality was really also service. And after you took that exam, you would, it was a really complicated exam, which I could talk about for a very long time. Anyway, after that, you had the option to have a bartending shift if one became available. I didn't consider you a bartender until you had been there for about 5 years. And then to become a senior bartender was about 6 or 7 years after, and their job was essentially to be my voice and the voice of the assistant manager to guide how everything would operate. So the senior bartender would train the bartenders and make sure their knowledge was good. The bartenders would make sure the apprentices were good, and apprentices would guide the barbacks. So it was super ingrained, very kind of taken from my background working at medicine in a lot of ways. So in medicine, the doctor's in charge of the operation. Everybody can do parts of it, but they oversee everything, whether or not their hands are on the thing directly or not. So the bartender was, in my mind, that same kind of doctor person who's like, oh, this is my station. You may make drinks, but I'm going to make sure everything operates correctly. And so the knowledge was always checked by that person one-on-one.
This is a crazy long process, like the apprenticeship. Like the apprenticeships from traditional crafts, actually. So it lasts for a long time. It requires huge dedication from the staff, but also huge dedication from the high ups.
It required a lot out of me. My job was 10 a.m. to 3 a.m. almost every day that I was working. And you had to learn everything, how ice was produced, how to repair the machines, where the glasses came from, how every bottle was made, why the labeling was that way, the history of that spirit, the history of whatever. Because if somebody came in and said, oh, I would like Grey Goose, you had to know that's a white winter wheat produced in this exact method. Oh, we don't have that, we have this instead. So say, absolutely, we have something just like that for you. And just even getting to that point required a tremendous amount of knowledge, because you can't see it, you can't hold it. And so the bartender becomes the bastion of that opportunity.
Christophe, coming to you, because you have that experience a bit more from the institution side of things. So far, like both Ezra and Benjamin have learned from scratch, and then had to think of how do I, train my workers, and how do I make people better. When you started years ago, I suppose you went to hospitality school to do mention bar, and then you became one of the meilleurs courtiers de France, which is also something very interesting because it's a unique figure in the world. You've seen evolution over the years. What are you doing right now? What is your perspective on education from the hospitality school and the ABF point of view?
Thank you. Bonjour à tout le monde. You mentioned that I've been in the industry, by the way, for about 25 years in the hospitality industry, for 20 years in the bar industry. And when I talk to the younger generation of bartenders, I really feel like I'm a dinosaur. Because when I mentioned that when I very start, smartphone didn't exist. The only way to learn things was to be with people, to read books, to read magazine, and to be part of a community, maybe to have access to this education. So when I very first start, I've done a bartender diploma, which is very common for us because we grew as bartenders with this kind of diploma linked to the government. That this diploma was launched in France in 1984, led by the French Bartenders Association, and still in progress. And for me, the contact that I had the very first time with the association part, it was like a revelation. It was, oh my God, there are so many people that are doing the same job, that are doing bartender contests. I didn't know that before to be part of this industry, there were bartender contests. I'm going to do cocktails, to be judged, to do a cocktail, and to progress like this. So doing competitions, meeting people in this kind of association, it really was something that inspired me. And 20 years after that, we still have this diploma. But since 1984, since when I started bartending, it was still the same diploma, even last year. So you see the industry, you see that there is many changes and evolutions in techniques and many different kind of things, but the diploma was still the same. So we worked really hard with the association, linked with the government and the Teachers and Trainers Association, LAPEB. So we built a team made with professionals, with people from the association, with those teachers to work and to think about what should be the next training course of the bar industry. So we worked for about 1 year to launch this new format of the diploma, and it is very gratifiant. Ça va aller. Rewarding because we put the level of this diploma higher, and also the government recognized the diploma in a higher level. So it is very rewarding. And this new diploma was launched just this year in September. So the new generation of bartenders will have access to another types of training course. But the reflection is even deeper than just doing something new in the courses that you have to learn. It is also deeper because we need to train the new generation, the new bartenders, but there is something to do with the teachers and the trainers that are doing this course for those young generation. So if the trainers are not able to teach the thing that they are supposed to teach, how could we improve this diploma, even if on the paper it is better? So there is something deeper. There is still a lot of work to do to improve all of those things. So with the association, it is really important for us to work very close with even the government, with the teachers, with the bartenders. And since 20 years ago, the technology evolved, so we have more access to content, to know how to improve and work on techniques. But the thing that is still very important, and for me it is maybe the heart and the key of our industry, it's still the human touch. So being in touch with the people, be there to help them, to watch them grow in the industry, it's very important. So we have also this role to play in the industry.
Thank you. think you mentioning something that's really interesting that was already raised last year by Daniel Guichard from Waxing in Berlin. Is who's deciding who are the mentors, like who's picking the mentors, who's training the trainers. Maybe we can discuss this a bit later. But you know, the dinosaurs have spoken. They still stalk the earth, but I think now it's time for Valeria, which is representing the younger generation here. Valeria, you've actually done two different formations, two different trainings early on in your career, and then of course you had the guidance of bar owners, or our friend Edu Varmaid, was someone that was important to you. So you've seen a bit both sides, right? The education on the job, and also the education in more of an institutional setting. So maybe you could talk about not exactly what went well, but what was not enough, right? And what led you to launch this Varmaid persona online, which is which speaks not only to professional, but a lot of your audience is actually young professional from your generation who probably are finding it more exciting to learn with you or to see your journey than doing the training with the dinosaurs.
Well, when I started in the industry, I was like so clear that I really want to know, and I want to know with Ezra and about our techniques or enzymes or whatever. So I have so clear that I have to study. So I started at 18, and also I was a bartender, and when all that happened, for me it was so much easier than for all of you because I have a lot of information and there's a lot of programs. So after that, I decided to do the Instagram, and the name was terrible because a lot of people say, why Varmaid? Like that word is terrible for us because this now has a really good meaning, but for me it's like maybe I can change that, you know. My name is Valeria, and you know what, I'm behind the bar and I'm always cleaning the bar, so yeah, I'm Varmaid. And when I start the videos, I want like people who doesn't know anything about cocktails, they feel like more close to them, about the stories, about the techniques, and I think that was a really good idea. And I don't know how I did it, but the people love it, and it's because maybe the way that I'm talking to the camera, and it was so much easier to understand everything. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the persona is it's your very fresh personality, very it's videos are quite easygoing, but you also you know a lot of marketers from your age or generation. Actually, if you're interested in rumors about the Madrid bar scene, she knows everything. She's my source. Why do you think you're more attracted to this than maybe a formal education? What is the failing? What personally, what were the failing of? What didn't work in the education you were given?
I think for the young generation, they want to know faster. They want to do everything quickly, and to do all this online, and the reels are like 40 seconds there, so like they can learn so much easier. So I don't know, that's the reason that I do that, all of that.
So there's no one like doing a 10-year apprenticeship, right?
They supposed to learn.
Yeah?
They supposed to learn.
Yeah?
Maybe. Not they learn. They supposed to
They're supposed to learn. Yeah? Okay.
And so I'm always in the middle of Bordeaux.
Yeah.
I'm learning right now. Even today, 1 year old.
Australia!
Come on, it's not alcoholic, eh?
That's the issue, he's from Australia.
It's not a coffee.
So even today I watched a video for a new technique to change color of the cocktail, and I said, "Fuck, I wanna try." But I'm sure that what I watched is really what I can do at the bar after test and test and test and test. Or maybe it's good to speak with this guy. Can I have a conversation with you? Can I send you a message? Can you help me to do this? Or can you give me more info? How can we see each other to try together? I don't know. That's a few questions that maybe in the past we can easily, such a community, ask between each other. Or I remember very well, I was very young, but a group of Milanese bartender after the shift came to my cafe like 3-4 times a month to try new cocktails. Because, for example, mezcal doesn't exist. We have mezcaleria, right? Mezcal didn't exist. And I remember very well the bottle of mezcal, taste all together and try this recipe called Oaxaca Old Fashion. Yeah, but this is 14 years ago. So, and one of the most recognizable bartender and entrepreneur right now in Milan was there. I remember very well, and I was 20. So that was the past, and I'm pretty sure that we learn exactly together and exactly what the recipe was. It's not just looking for a video, maybe yeah, let's do it. And then you go to the bar, you try, maybe it's wrong, and then you serve to the people this wrong solution. That's why I said that it's supposed to work.
Jesus, he's an Italian man, conservatives. Or Christopher, I was just, jumping up on this. Like you said, the mention one, it was a bit old-fashioned already. It was around for a long time, so you have to update it. Obviously, there's a lot of content, there's a lot of stuff we're doing in the bar world that we weren't doing only 5 years ago. But the way it is taught, the way you have to reach, because how old are people who are walking into those schools? 18 years old. So the way you teach those things, does it also get an update?
The program changed, but we'll see it during this year because it is a new program. So we need to have also the feedback from the teachers, and we want that more and more professional could mentoring those kind of sessions because in the schools a lot of teachers don't know really how to do those techniques and so on. So they call professional to come to their course to help them to teach those techniques. Though, so you mentioned that speaking with bartenders, having feedback directly is very important. And more globally, you talk about mentoring also in the way that you teach the thing. So I think that mentoring. Don't forget that you used to be someone that don't know how to do things, and now that you have improved your skills and your knowledge, stay in touch with this kind of trainings to help people, to help new generation, because unfortunately many people used to grow in the industry, to work really hard, and then they maybe forgot where they come from. So just keep it in mind to help the teachers and the new trainers.
So yeah, that's sort of, you have to have that empathy.
Yeah.
Ezra, I'm getting back to you because you've done change a few years ago, 5 years ago, about 5 years ago, where you changed continent, which in terms of how you reach to younger generation, to the younger bartenders or waiters, etc., is obviously a huge change. But also, so you have to rethink the complete Because also, you went from drink, which, okay, it's a very special program, but also the bar in itself became an institution, so when you walked in as a new employee, you knew that's the way things were doing. And you had to start from scratch, and you were saying that you actually had to do the same program, but the other way around, which, say like that doesn't make much sense, so.
So, when I moved to Hong Kong, not only did I spend a lot of time establishing myself, creating a program at Drink, it was a very long time. As you said, it became an institution. And then when I moved to Hong Kong, I got the opportunity to become nameless and start from scratch. So a few things came into play. One was cultural differences. Hong Kong is a uniquely culturally diverse community in a very different way than I think of in terms of European approach. We have a lot of Asians, but they're all from different countries and they all think about things in different ways. Even Hong Kong, to be from Hong Kong means you're from many different places in a lot of ways. And everybody I was working with is a post-COVID community. They're all your age, approaching these things in kind of the first time. And my old approach at Drink was, okay, we have a destination, let's draw a map. Here's what we're going to expect when we get there. Here's how the road looks. Here's how you drive. Now, we're going to drive to there together and make sure it's okay. But what I've found is the younger generation is constantly questioning and evaluating information. Is this information valid? Is it real? And so when you are drawing a map, but the person that you're drawing a map for doesn't trust the information, the map is invalid. So rather than giving them a destination, we decided that we would just drive. I can build the road if we're on it together, and you are in charge of getting there. So instead of thinking about, here's all the knowledge, and then I will allow you to talk to guests, I said, you know how to talk to people. Let's train you how to do it our way. Let's have you work with people first, and then I can explain the things along the way. So at Mostly each bar runs a little different, so I'm talking specifically about Mostly Harmless. So what I did at Mostly Harmless, it's all Cantonese and Mandarin speaking and English speaking women only. And I did that because I wanted that feeling. So I built the bar backwards because I wanted to start with humans and feelings first and give knowledge on the backside. Build the institution and the bar itself to operate as a system that provides information regardless of whether you know what you're doing. So on the back, we only do 4 drinks, so that structure is set up so you immediately know 4 classics no matter what. The way you put things into the computer forces you to have to know what everything is built on. Oh, you know agave? Yeah, so there's different color schemes. So immediately you're using media to understand and learn something you maybe would have had to sit through a class of some sort to understand. And so when you're entering a cave and you punch that in, hit this button, and they're like, oh, what's that? Like, oh, it's an agave. Oh, what's that? Well, if you'd like to know, we can tell you. And now their curiosity is spiked. So rather than having to validate the information, they're getting to discover the information for themselves. And the business itself provides the space for it and provides the educational opportunity for it. So once a week we do a class, and it'll be a history of a spirit told as a story. And at the end, they get to evaluate the reality of it. Is this a true story? And the answer is always no. Because truth is always a matter of perspective, especially for the younger generation. So rather than evaluate my truth, what are the key points? And so once we get the key points to them, then they're actually able to take more information and do it themselves. So it was a completely different way of doing it, and it became extremely successful to the point that all the other people from the rest of my business, $1, €1, Hong Kong dollar. The people from the rest of the city, we opened up the class to anybody. So for about a year, we were providing it for anybody in the city who wanted to drop by. We had people visiting from other countries who would just stop by and sit in on the class. Kind of stopped it for a little bit because it's something that worked for me alone. And now we have the younger team starting to do the classes again. But just reevaluating it and shifting the perspective so that, and I think it's why you're successful at what you do is when you are providing information from a perspective where they can connect as a human instead of having to connect as an evaluative process, they're able to retain information and explore on their own.
You want to ask me something?
Well, no, you want to say something.
Okay, I'm so sorry for my English. I'm doing my best. If this conversation was in Spanish, I will be like super interested for sure. Okay.
But I think you invented the method, Ezra. I mean, what you invented is a method. You should write a book about that method and sell it to the world and open schools all over.
So I had a book coming out.
I didn't know that.
If you'd like to learn more, something presentation, one on this and one on turning your bar into a non-alcoholic bar because you don't have a choice.
Oh, yeah, that is an interesting part of the story.
We talked about that.
One of my videos, I show how different techniques are classic cocktails, and a lot of them I didn't know. So I do my research, and I do my research on different books, magazines, and I'm so lucky because all of my friends are bartenders, and they have more knowledge than me, so I can ask them. So hey, I want to do something like this, but I really don't know how. Can you please help me? And that information will be like, okay, with all of that he said, how I can do this so much easier for people who don't know. So that's what I'm doing.
Why do you think you want to do it that way?
I'm meant to ask the questions.
I'm curious. I want to know.
Valeria, why do you think I have to do it that way? Very good question.
Because it's so much simple, right? If you see something that is interesting for you, that give you like the fortaleza to keep strength to keep searching for more information. So maybe you are like scrolling on your Instagram and saw videos and like, oh, that's interesting. I want to know more. And maybe that's the only thing that you need to activate something on you, and maybe you're looking for something else. So that's, I don't know.
In terms of responsibility, because we're talking about the mentors and the teachers, etc. A lot of the people you're talking to are more or less your age. Some of them have actually more years of experience. Some of them have less years. But how do you treat this thing of the responsibility you have towards your audience in terms of, all right, I'm 25 years old, or I've been doing bartending for 7 years. I've trained. I've done all this. Now I'm translating what I know to this. I'm asking about this because obviously in structures like this, the ownership is quite clear. But in terms of your responsibility with your viewers and what you were teaching, how do you feel about that?
Oh, I feel so much scary about everything. I feel like I have to be like super, may I say in Spanish?
Try in English and I'll help you.
Okay.
No, but come on.
Para hacer algunos vídeos de estos tenía que tener muy clara la información, ¿sabes? Porque lo que yo voy a representar supone muchísimas visualizaciones. Entonces, si lo hago mal, si no me informo, puede haber un gran malentendido y evidentemente causar grandes estragos y no busco eso.
So there's a huge responsibility with knowing that whatever you put out there is going to be seen by a lot of people. So if you fuck up, not necessarily going to have consequences, but a lot of people will. Talking about this, another thing of doing this thing online is people are nasty. Like people are making like rude comments. So how do you? Yes.
Well, I'm lucky also because my community is like really open and they want to learn. They don't want to push you down. So for me it was a little bit easier than other bartenders. But yeah, you have like a lot of comments maybe like saying like you need more experience, you're not enough. You should like stay more time behind the bar because I'm like 7 years apart or being bartender, but that is not that is nothing. That's when you read a book and you say like, okay, maybe I know a little bit, and you read more and say like, okay, I don't know anything. I have no idea. Or like, what are you talking about? It's the same. The other thing is like people who knows more, they support you a lot. like a lot, like everything that you need, he will say like, I got you. You need something? Just let me know. I'll be with you. I'm going to try your cocktail and make this cocktail better. So thanks for all of this, and thank you so much, Cambridge Public House, your son. You're amazing. Your name is so difficult to say. God, thank you, because this opportunity for me is like so inspiring for young people, because they can say like, maybe I can do the same as Varmaid, and I can be here someday. So I really thank you for this.
I think that would be interesting to close the conversation on the theme of mentorship, and how do you become one, maybe, or how do you pick them. I have to say, for me, talking about Cambridge, and thank you Cambridge, etc., Yasant is not my mentor, his dog. His dog. I would love to have his dog as a mentor. Anyway, go ahead.
I think it's not that easy to talk as a mentor, because it's always a strange position for me. But as I have,
You've had mentors before. You have people you look up to and say, so how do you pick them?
yeah, definitely. Simply people that trust in me and having bad feelings and just pushing me to do the best that I could, to work on my skills, to work on my personality, to many different things. So mentors could be, of course, someone who knows very well his skills, but also in a different way. Because we talk about the human, the people that could inspire you is very important, and people that can make you feel good. Simply, sometimes it's not that hard to find someone that can make you feel better and pushing you to the limit of your way to do the things. You hear me? And as a French Bartenders Association, I can just say that you are all welcome to join the association and to be maybe the mentor of the new generation of bartenders. You all have skills, you all have experiences, different experiences, but it could be inside very inspiring for someone in this position. So yeah, that's it.
So recruitment drive here.
The side form has been
So Ezra, Benjamin, both of you. I mean, is there a stage? You, Ezra, I think it's a bit different because you started training people already as barback, almost, right? But maybe Benjamin is quite right. Is there a moment in your career where you realize that you're becoming a mentor to people, or that you're more interested in showing the way, helping out, fostering career? Because one of the great things about this is, you know, you had someone work for you and then leave the bar and become something else, whether it's a bar owner or opens distillery, because you also do that. Was there a switch in your career, or?
so.
Well, I don't know. I think.
So first of all, my career finished when I stopped to play soccer. And who will be in October in Hong Kong? You will see. So no, for me, I just want to speak about the idea of mentors. When I was football player 30 kilos ago, I was a professional football player. I always look at my mentors like personalities that help the team. So not just people that teach you how to do things, but mentors are example, and then young generation can choose if follow or not follow this experience. So since the day one, when I had the chance to manage a team, I wanted to recreate this idea of mentoring. Of course, having different bars and managing different people, sometimes you need to put some rules, and mentors is also a personality that double check that the rules are good, first of all, and they must be to respect the rules of the bar, and so when I stopped to play football, I started to read books, and I went to the university, and since the day one, I said I don't want to be a teacher. When you study philosophy and literature, the first job ever is teacher. I don't want to be the teacher of anyone. I don't want to influence any soul. Yeah. So every time a new guy, a new bartender come to play with us, it's always, there is always a rule. No one is written on the rocks. So you have 20 years old, 21, you have 18 years old, you can come, and if you have respect, I will listen you, and maybe we can change the bar together. So when she said, I'm 25, I'm young, I have no experience, I don't think it's true, because you can have experience even if you have 25 or 22 or 20. The most important thing is having the right time to speak with the manager, with your team, taking the right infos, developing the infos, and then go back to the team, and then come on guys, okay, I didn't smoke any weed last night, I didn't drink any beer, I just started and I realized that this is a good for the bar. Do you want to try together this new technique? Experience, it's a good thing, but in the same time, also the creativity of the new young generation is something that is education. Because most of the time, old generations said, oh, I'm 20 years old of experience, I'm 15 years old of experience. Yes, of what? Of something that now is nothing. You know, so maybe sometime we need to listen these young and stupid.
Do you have anything to add to that, Ezra?
Maybe just one quick thing.
Yes, there you go.
Just to kind of echo along with that, it's I think a lot of times, Star Wars comes to mind. I think when we think about mentorship, whether we know it very well or not, you think of Luke Skywalker and Yoda, right? You have this older teacher who's guiding you, and that's your mentor. So as I said before, like when I first was getting into this kind of bartending, I thought I had no mentors because nobody would teach me. And what I began to realize is that mentorship isn't one elder passing the information on to one younger. It's actually absorbing all of those around you. So what I found out as I got older was it wasn't that I had one mentor or two mentors, it was that the mentorship opportunities were around me constantly from any age, from any person, just a matter of me being open to it and accepting and understanding and listening and being humble enough to take the perspective and appreciate it and see where that might work and might not. Maybe it doesn't work in the moment, but it might work in the future. And I think that's really kind of echoing very much what you're saying is doesn't matter age or experience, but opportunity.
Beautiful thought. I don't know if you have time for a couple of questions. Yeah? Yeah? Someone's got a question? If not, we're all gonna go for lunch, so, make it short. No? It's good? Amazing. Oh, there is a question. Why are you hiding? There's only one microphone.
I speak quite loud, so.
Yeah?
I'll go the question like mostly to Reza. So you passed from.
You want the database
Whatever you want.
So you said that back in the day some of the older dinosaurs we passed to the stage of 6 months, You said 2 years, 3 years barbecuing?
A few years, yeah.
Yeah. So how did that change right now?
How does that change now?
No, like what's your structure right now at the current bar you do? Because with the new generation, I don't believe that any young people is going to be telling you, like new people coming in 19, 20 years old, like, hey, listen, you need to barback our shit for
So
6 months. They're going to be
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
no, fuck you, I go next bar.
100%.
So how do we adapt to that? Because of course the knowledge of the barback is amazing and everybody needs to know it. But how do we adapt it to keep that fire in that you'll get to the stage of being a barman, bartender, bar, whatever. But it needs a bit of patience, of course. So how did you adapt to it personally?
So when you're using the term barback, you're actually referring to a system, right? So we're so used to being locked into how specific systems should operate, how specific operations of a bar are supposed to run. So you're saying barback, right? So what I did was basically evaluate what are those jobs, what are those skills, and how do we break those apart so it becomes a part of everything else. So rather than thinking, oh, you're a barback, and then you become working the floor, then you become doing this, maybe the job is all of it, and you just break it apart into little pieces. The responsibility is this, and the job is actually to take care of the guests first. And here's how that operates. Here's how the business has changed that structure so that, yes, the dishes get done because the dishes get done this way. This person handles that. Yes, the keg gets changed because everybody's responsible for that. And so that becomes part of the job. So I have a few bars, so what I'm speaking about is specifically mostly Harmon's. The bartender is the person that makes sure everything is happening. And that responsibility changes day to day, whoever we assign to be the bartender for that day. Otherwise, they work the floor. And there's only 2 roles. So the floor handles different things, operates different ways. So then if we do have somebody that's young and wants to do the job, but doesn't want to kind of go through that same thing, we've broken it apart into little bits across every job so that you're still getting that same experience, but you're also getting opportunities to see some of the other stuff that makes you excited. Because the patience for some of the post-COVID generation is a little shorter. So we provide the opportunity for them to have that taste and enough of the experience to want to keep doing it. So that they see that, oh, you know what, washing dishes is actually the fun part. Because when you get overwhelmed by the people coming in because you're not used to being around social stuff because you were in your house during COVID, you can just go wash some dishes for a little bit and reset. And that seems to work really well. We've got some guys that just want to wash dishes, and I actually have now got the opposite problem where I'm like, hey, I know you spent years in your house, but get on the fucking floor. That guy needs water. So I think it's really just operationally changing the mindset instead of putting things so much in stone, really looking at the operations and the opportunities and how do we reformulate these structures so that they provide the incentive in the space. Did that answer?
Yeah.
Thank you. That will be it for this one. Of course, they'll be around, so if you have more questions, you can ask.